What most people think.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of What Most People Think, and welcome us in our new reality now, which is that we are at odds with the US, because on Saturday Donald Trump announced his plans for tariffs against the European nations, blocking his totally reasonable desire to just walk into Greenland and call it Trumpland or whatever it is. So joining us to talk about that and other things is Rachel Fairburn. Rachel, how are you adjusting to this new reality where we're at odds with the ones that make Netflix? That feels perverse.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm feeling all right at the minute.
Yeah.
But that's subject to change.
I mean, the thing with Trump is you do get a sense that stuff does blow over, although this is quite extreme in some ways. I mean, one of the things I was thinking, obviously we'll get into it as we get later in the show, and we'll also talk about Keir Starmer's press conference, because who doesn't want, on the most depressing day of the year, to have to listen to... I mean, it's my job to listen to Keir Starmer, but him on Blue Monday just go, oh, thank you very much for joining us here at 9:15 on the most depressing Monday of the year. But yeah, you know, if it is going to be us against the US, I did say over the weekend, I'd like it to be like the Ryder Cup. You know, where Europe plays the USA at golf.
Oh, yeah.
I think given the US military might, that might give us a chance.
Hasn't golf gone a bit, hasn't it got a bit tasty recently? Wasn't there a lot of heckling at the golf last time? Isn't that what happened?
Yeah. I mean, look, I dare say that typically comes from, not exclusively from our American friends, but they do like get in the hole.
I'm quite surprised that Americans are like that, especially at golf. I thought it was more of a, I don't know, I think the British would be more likely to be like that. So it's quite a change round, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Some sports in different countries are more boisterous. Like in Australia, cricket is like quite a boisterous sport.
Interesting, yeah.
But we will fight them on the back nine. We're also going to talk about an interesting story that broke in. It's Stephen Bartlett, who, if he doesn't immediately come to mind, he's the Diary of a CEO guy, and if that doesn't bring him to mind, he's the young fella on Dragon's Den, right? He's had a bit of controversy here. His podcast is massive, and he had a sort of right of centre manosphere guy on called Chris Williamson, and he was talking about the looming single loneliness crisis, but particularly from the male point of view, and he did seem to suggest that maybe the state should intervene in terms of coupling men up with women. So I thought, as we have a lady guest, as we don't always have, it would be a good time to discuss that and exactly
how. Called a lady doesn't happen that often. That's quite nice. Thank you, Jeff.
I'm fucking old school me, treacle. And we will talk about what form that might take if the government would sort of doing, I don't know, arranged marriages. That could be interesting. And in the Patreon only, Zia Youssef, I think he's the chairman of Reform. He went online and had a bit of a rant about the fact that when politicians, people from different political stripes appear on political programs together, that they have the fucking temerity to get on. So we're going to talk about that in the Patreon only. Piss take prices. I'll come to you in a sec, Rachel, but these keep flooding in. Jim Hooker, who is a patron, he said that he paid $26.50 for a Sunday roast. That is
£26.50?
Yes, I mean, it sounds better when you're outraged in a northern accent, I've got to be honest.
I mean, where was this?
I didn't, that was my only issue, is I didn't have enough context in some ways, but I would think even, right, the place I would expect to pay outrageous prices with, if he said it was in Balham,
yes.
But I still think in Balham that's quite, that's quite expensive.
I was thinking like Crouch End, Muswell Hill in London, that kind of vibe. And
that it's the kind of place that wouldn't include all the trimmings. They'd say like asparagus 5.1 on the menu.
Yeah. I mean, that £26.50, was it good though? I mean, if it was good, can you excuse it? Do you know what I really hate? I'm not a fussy eater, but I don't like meat on a bone, right? And I hate it when you order a chicken roast and a big leg of chicken comes out. I'm like, oh God, this is awful.
It's work, isn't it? It's going to be work.
It's good, but also I can't eat because it just turns my stomach just seeing the meat on the... I'm like, oh, don't make me look at something that looks like the animal that it was. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, thank you.
Don't draw a face on it.
Don't draw a face on it. But also it's good value though. If I'd paid £26.50 and a leg of chicken did come out, I would think that's better value. But it is, Yeah, eating
stuff on the bone is better at home because you can do it like a fucking savage. Do you know what I mean? You can do what it takes to get the most out of it. Maybe it's too early to be giving you this sort of imagery.
It's too early. I just can't bear it.
Jamie Spencer Warner. Remember, if you're doing it, obviously on the Patreon, you can connect with me through the direct messaging services. Elsewhere on social media, just use the hashtag #PissTakePrices. Jamie Spencer Warner on Facebook said that he showed a photo, evidence that he paid do the posh restaurant thing, 9.95 for a cheese and ham roll. And of course it had all the wording in it. Let's just tell you the wording, you know, the flash wording that makes us pay.
I know the wording.
Yeah. So what did it say? It said Suffolk ham, an aged cheddar bap with herb mayo, mustard, pickled red onion and rocket. Well, look, we're getting towards lunchtime, so yes, that does sound amazing, but not for a tenner. And also it is a tenner, a 9.95.
£10 for a cheese butter.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
This is what I mean. We need to start calling these things what they are. I don't care how aged your cheddar is. I don't care if it's got a free bus pass, mate. I'm not paying tenner for a fucking cheese roll.
Completely agree.
What, have you got a piss take price for us?
I have. And I saw this price and I was in the supermarket with my boyfriend. I went, are they taking the piss?
There you go.
It was. So I like to treat myself to an Options hot chocolate. And I was like, I need a new tub of my Options hot chocolate. I like the salted caramel one. And usually the price, I never look at the price. I always think it was pushing £6.
So what size? I mean, we tried to do this with Alan Cochrane. If it was a small animal standing up, what sort of animal would it be?
A rat.
A rat?
The size of a rat standing up. And
the height of a rat, yeah.
The height of a rat. Just the normal size, just the everyday. And sometimes you can actually get it in places like Savers and stuff like that for about £2 odd. But it was around £5.85 or something like that. And I was aghast.
Well, I mean, they would say it's the cocoa crop has failed, but I just sort of think like, that's not my fault.
No. In fact, these instances are happening quite a lot. I just thought to myself, oh my God, I'm turning into my dad. Like that was one of those moments. And there's a lot of other, I mean, there's so many things at the minute. Like the Greggs breakfast has gone up.
How much is that now? Not Greggs. If they fall, that's the last horseman of the expensive apocalypse.
So my friend Ellie messaged me about this the other day. Let me just see. I've got my...
Because look, if you go to a Leon and they do their little halloumi, fucking bacon and beans protein pot, I'm kind of expecting to pay, top dollar.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just looking through, I'm trying to see, because she was so outraged, she did send me a picture of it. Here we go. She says... Tell you what I'm aghast about. Greg's brekkie, £3.15. Used to be £2.50 not that long ago.
I mean, the problem is it still does represent excellent value. I mean, it's like people talk about the Greg's sausage roll going up. It is still a warm, satisfying snack. It's
still and the breakfast bar, or whatever you call it, wherever you're from, is the bacon one is always very good. The bacon's always done just as I like it.
We should never do this again so close to lunchtime.
I know. I can feel my stomach rumbling now.
Let's move on. We're going to talk about new patrons. Remember, if you get the podcast, if you are a patron, you get the podcast early, ad-free, and with bonus content. And also, you get your name roasted. If I haven't, for whatever reason, and you want to be roasted, message me through the website, through Patreon. Remember, if you're signing up, it's better if you do it through Patreon or an Android phone. If Apple Podcasts is the only way you can do it, or then fine, but those two, the creators, get more money. Gordon Porter. So I think his son sorted this out for him. Gordon Porter sounds like a classic cocktail, doesn't it? I'll have the Gordon Porter on the rocks, please.
Oh, it does, and it was invented at a particular hotel.
Yeah, they're the fucking best ones, aren't they?
Yeah, it's from the Savoy. You go to the Savoy, you've got to have a Gordon Porter.
And that is £21.50 for a Gordon Porter at the Savoy. But I tell you what.
You've just reminded me, actually, about and I've got to go back to this outrageous price. And this wasn't even me. I was in a hotel in Newcastle, a Motel 1, and there was a man in front of me at the bar ordering 2 large gin and tonics, £27.
A Motel 1?
Yep.
Oh my God. If they fall, Greg's prices are going up. Jesus Christ.
That's a Gordon Porter prize. You'd expect to be paying that for it.
Yeah, you paid that for a Gordon Porter. Malcolm Jones, I know it's because of Malcolm McLaren, but he does sound like one of those guys that ripped off a band in the 70s. Sarah Deakin. I don't know if I mentioned Sarah Deakin's name. Sarah Deakin was the bright, you know, like when you was at school with a girl, bright as a button, Sarah Deakin.
She was the head girl.
But liked.
Yeah, but liked somehow. Yes, head girl, but got on with everybody. Very clever. Always won certificates and prizes. And very good at sports.
Very good at hockey, like a real
She's an all-rounder.
An all-round girly girl sport. Yeah. Is hockey? No, hockey, like, they play mixed hockey, don't they?
Do they?
Men and women. I just think... I don't know. I've never really wanted to play a sport where because you just hold back, and if you twatted a hockey ball and a woman was crying, that's not a good feeling. Whereas I think if you twatted a hockey ball and it hit a bloke in the balls and he's crying, that's like top outcome.
It's a violent game. I remember playing it at school and thinking this is violent, and that was 13-year-old girls. I wouldn't want to play hockey with blokes. Forget that. No, thank you.
Yeah, especially in the age of equality, right?
Exactly.
David Domain, our super patron who gives feedback on previous week's episode, he sent a brilliant email. There's so much stuff in it, so I'll get to as much as I can in the time available. We were talking about the fact now to be right or left wing, you have to sign up to a whole host of beliefs, right, rather than a patchwork of them. And what he says was, if you're deemed, he calls them pledges, which is a good way of putting it. If you're deemed right wing, political compass explains that right wing is mainly, if not solely, determined by economic views, stemming from the belief economics should be down to competing individuals and private organisations, whereas left-wing beliefs stem from communal, state-planned economics. I mean, yeah, that was always what made me right-wing once upon a time. Like, even reading state-planned economics, I sort of got a bit of a shiver there. But in recent times, it's like I've got to also hate Meghan Markle as well, if I want to be right-wing. I've got to hate Meghan Markle and the BBC.
Do you know, that's quite funny because... like the Meghan Markle thing, if you decide that you suddenly don't like Meghan Markle, or like, I'll be honest with you, before everyone didn't like her, I was first. I remember seeing her on the balcony. I can't remember, it was a Queen's sort of whatever it was. And I thought, oh my God, I've never seen someone who looks so self-satisfied with where they are.
Yeah.
And that was my initial thought. And I wasn't keen on her. But the problem is now, if I say I'm not keen on her, I'm instantly a racist or right wing or an Nazi. I just don't like the girl. I don't like Prince Harry either. I don't think is that a problem? Who's bothered? I mean,
gingerist. I mean, yeah, no, it's interesting, isn't it? Maybe we found that line is how you feel about Meghan Markle either way. If you're left wing, you've got to like her, and if you're right wing, you've got to hate her. Yeah, I'm not her biggest fan.
No,
the environment as well is another one, isn't it? On the left, you've got to think that the planet is dying immediately, and on the right, you've got to think, let's drill, baby, drill.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? But the Meghan Markle thing, it's like, I wish the girl well, but you can think two things at once. You can think deep down, I'm not really asked about her, but then when I did see her, I thought, oh, she seems a bit of a psychopath.
Played for and got was that marriage. She
100%.
I mean, like, it's fatuous to pretend that she didn't absolutely strategically, and fair play, like, that's what she should write her next book on. Yeah. Get yourself a prince, ladies. That would fucking sell 10 million copies.
It's like Wags. It's like you went out to get a football and you got one. Good for you. That's what you wanted.
Yeah, exactly. Own that instead.
Yeah, she wanted the prince. She got him.
Deary me, I appear to have just snagged myself a prince. Oh, how did that happen? Well, because you wore some of his mum's clothes. Anyway, moving on. David Domain also says that you can make DIY de-icer, which is better than any of the off-the-shelf stuff you can get from the shops and cheaper. It involves getting a 5-litre flagon, that sounds very Viking, of pure isopropyl via Amazon, then fill a plant spray bottle 2/3 with iso. Okay, I think what David Domain is giving here is really good advice, but I just feel that if I order this stuff on Amazon, I'm going to appear on a kind of MI6 watch list.
Absolutely.
And they're going to be swabbing my hands like you do at an airport.
And if you give out all the ingredients that he's given you there, they'll accuse you of having the anarchist cookbook. So leave it.
What most people think.
Thank you. I mean, just again, with the tickets moving for the tour, Cambridge, Maidenhead and Norwich sold out. The first day in Norwich is sold out. There is another one that's close. Colchester also sold out. And then if you wanted to come to Salisbury, get your skates on there, only 18 tickets. Wimborne is over 80% now, same as Salford and Bedford. I know I'm a broken record, but what will happen is, just like I had over the weekend, people going, when you come into so-and-so, did it last year. Can I get tickets for this? No, it's sold out. So what I'm saying is get your skates on. The fuck you, Rachel Fairburn.
Oh, well, listen, you're self-employed, I'm self-employed. People who do not pay invoices on time, you are the scum of the earth. It's unbelievable. I did a gig recently, well, I say recently, it was now 3 or 4 months ago, for a very, very big company. And they're still saying, oh, we've got problems with our payment system. Have you? Have you really?
System.
Yeah, system. So I'm still waiting for a lot of money off a lot of people who haven't paid invoices. And I just think in 2026, this should not be the case.
Yeah, I mean, payments are automated. It's particularly galling when if I've got a hunch of what that company might be, you know, they're sitting on stacks of cash. The idea that even if they haven't received that invoice, that the shit has to roll downhill, you know, for people who are self-employed. I mean, like it is 28-day invoicing. Like, you know, in comedy, it used to be like 7. Well, you used to just get it when you walked off stage.
Yeah, that's it.
But you sort of understand, you know, 7 days, the good clubs still do that. You know, for 28 days is kind of more businessy. But then somebody, like, every once in a while, you just get a company go, just to let you know, we've moved to 60-day invoicing. You go, just to let you know, no.
And the amount of chasing that people have to do, and especially in comedy, you know, where it's becoming quite a middle class pursuit, you're pushing out the working class. I haven't got any. I've got no savings. I'm a terrible with money, probably. So I'm relying on stuff all the time. And when people, the fact is, if you've employed someone for work, pay them. It's that simple.
Mm.
It is that simple. And I think some people that, you know, work in the office and they get their money normally, what do they call it, PAYE.
Yeah.
I think they don't even think that people might be waiting for money. It's just mad.
I think do you know what I think it's like? You know that moment where you get on a busy train and then you go to your seat and someone says, you're going to have to get out, that's my seat. And they say, well, someone was sitting in my seat. That's what I think people think of with invoicing. You go, somebody sitting in your seat is still very much a you problem, right? Yeah. You needed to do what I'm doing now with them.
Yes.
But that is still my seat. And that is still Rachel Fairburn's fucking money.
Thank you.
All right, let's get to talking politics and catching up with all the Trump USA's Starmer tariff business. Okay, so just a quick recap on Saturday. I wasn't having the greatest day. My son's football team lost. He played well, but you know, it was just I wanted them to get a win. I felt like they were going to get a win. Then my football team lost with a 99th minute fucking howler of a goal, and you know, really tough times at Norcott Towers. And then as I was kind of trying to kill an excessive amount of time between one of my gigs on Saturday, humble brag, I just saw that Donald Trump had said that he was going to introduce 10% tariffs on the European nations, saying that Greenland should decide its own fate. And I was like, well, this was the last thing I needed, frankly. You know, did you ever get that? You know how self-centered you can be when world news breaks. I don't know about you, but I'm like, oh, for God's sake.
Oh, what now?
Oh, what, we should just give him the country. I mean, the thing that I think with Trump and the Danes, because, you know, it does, I think, ultimately have to go through them as they have current ownership. Because he's talking about them as like not good allies and stuff. When I was out in Afghanistan, which I don't like to bring up, as you know, barely bring it up, did gigs for the troops, but whatever. But there were Danes out there. It must be really hard going for them. You know, as recently as the mid-noughties, the Danes were kind of like, all right, where are you invading in the Middle East now? All right, well, fucking come, we'll bring our... And they're some of the best looking soldiers you've ever seen.
Oh, I can imagine, yeah.
Proper Thor level shit going on there. I mean, this kind of thing, I'm a bit of like, I'm just a bit of a news slave. How unsettling do you find this, or are you a bit more phlegmatic about it?
My point of view on it is, if I was someone who lived in Greenland, I'd just be like, do you know what? We're no trouble. We've been living our lives, getting on with it. And suddenly this has happened.
Yeah.
I'd be absolutely, A, terrified, and B, livid. Like, I just think, you know, these people are living. I'll be honest with you, I couldn't bear to live somewhere like that. It looks bloody freezing. But I just think that these people have just been living their lives, getting on with it, and now they're just the centre of world news. It must be.
Yeah, I guess if you've chosen to stay in Greenland, it's because you're more than happy with being out of the news cycle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, to be honest with you, Greenland, the only thing, whenever I think about it, I just think about when you're on a plane going to America and you go over it and you think, oh, there's Greenland.
And it's we've mentioned this, it's fucking massive. But yeah, I've been saying to people, 56,000 is the population. Like that,
wow.
For clarity, like where I live is a town that most people won't have heard of, and it's not that far off. I mean, I'm caught between two things with Trump, right? One thing, absolutely believe in Article 5, you can't take countries by coercion. That's the better part of me. But there's also the other part of me that goes, should we just give it him? Do you know what I mean? Should we just fucking give it? He's not going to stop, is he, on this?
Do you know what I mean? It's like, why is he... He's obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me if he got it and then didn't want
it. Men. It's all about the chase.
Exactly. This is what I think it is. It's all about the chase with him with this.
I mean, there is a part of me that some think going from the global perspective in terms of safety and security, which I don't think look, at the end of the day, Donald Trump could have as many troops there as he wants. That's a fucking red herring. He wants it because he wants it, and he wants it economically and strategically. Would it be better if the US did own it? Maybe. You know, I honestly, that there's a strong possibility that would be the case, but the means by which you go about it has to matter. And also, I did find it a bit dismal. You know, there were people, I can understand if you're on the right and you're a bit pro-Trump and you want to find the nuances about why maybe some of what he's saying makes sense. But there was people on the British right who are just openly fucking savouring our country getting an economic punishment beating, like just literally sitting in the cuck chair of global politics going, go on, Donald, fucking go for it, son. Up the tempo.
What most people think.
So we've come on to Monday morning, and as I say, just about the worst start to the most depressing day ever. These are things that nobody wants to hear. It's like, you know, going to school and going, we've got a test today. And then waking up and going, Keir Starmer's going to address the nation. And there was a part of me, right, that genuinely thought, what if he fucking went balls out? I mean, then I remember this Keir Starmer. Yeah. But if he just come out like in like army fatigues, just completely lost his fucking mind. You know, like the hillbillies with the rootin' tooting guns when they're shooting and dancing at the same time. He comes out and gives his press conference. So just to give a recap.
Alliances endure because they're built on respect and partnership, not pressure. That is why I said the use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong. It is not the right way to resolve differences within an alliance. Nor is it helpful to frame efforts to strengthen Greenland's security as a justification for economic pressure. Such measures hurt British workers, British businesses, and the British economy.
So, yeah, overwhelmingly, he talks about the investment in the UK and the need to be kind of temperate. And what he was sort of saying is, look, we cannot afford to get too sassy. It was almost like quite direct in what he said. He might as well have said, this is why I kiss his ass. This is why I've been rubbing my nose up the bum cheeks of Donald for so long. And you know what? I got it. I was like, yeah, I get it. He spoke about it as well. Most Starmer thing that he's ever said. He said, it's a pragmatic political partnership. I was like, just keep going with the peas, bruv. Keep going with the peas.
Oh, God, yeah.
So what do you think? I mean, I didn't expect him to lay it out so directly, but what he's sort of saying is, look, we small, they big, they put money, we be nice to big money people.
I mean, what else can he say? Donald Trump is so volatile that I just don't think that there's anything else. He couldn't really say the truth of like, this man is a megalomaniac and this is insane behaviour. He can't say that, can he? Because, well, what's Donald Trump going to do?
But then I sort of wondered, given that he obviously couldn't say that, I wondered what the point of the press conference was in the first place.
Well, I think if he didn't do anything, then he would be criticised.
Yeah, well, it's sort of like an emergency press conference. What made me laugh was the EU are having their emergency press conference. Do you know when they're having it?
When?
Thursday. Oh. Because that's the pace at which the EU do emergencies.
We'll have breakfast first, and then maybe a nice dinner, And maybe taking a show, and then we'll have the press conference.
Maybe taking a show. I mean, it's funny at the journos as well. I was also put like somewhat aggravatingly into the position of sort of being on Starmer's side, because all the journos would go, "Oh, Prime Minister, you haven't said anything about retaliatory tariffs, Mr. Prime Minister. Are we going to do retaliatory tariffs?" And I sort of thought, you lot have all been watching Love Actually over Christmas, right? This is not fucking Hugh Grant here. This guy hasn't got the latitude or the oratory skills to be defiant because he fancies Martine McCutcheon, okay? He can't do the stuff. You know he can't. And also, like, there's this US Supreme Court ruling, which is literally in the next couple of days, that might declare that Donald Trump using tariffs as a sort of global coercion isn't okay anyway. So I sort of thought, you know, hate to say it, but I sort of thought Starmer said roughly what was appropriate to say. I mean, look, he's not Churchill. Let's put it that way. In an oratory sense, he didn't put fire in the bellies. What's the opposite of fire in the belly? Renee in the colon?
Sawdust on the gut. You know, when kids used to be sick at school and they put sawdust on it. Oh, God. Ugh.
And yeah, sawdust already smelled a bit like fucking bile. What was all that about? David Domain, please explain. That should be our new thing for the podcast. David Domain, please explain. It was interesting as well, given that he's been going toe-to-toe with Kemi Badenoch. Oh, by the way, just a quick sidebar. Robert Jenrick, right? So, you know, he defected at the end of last week, and he's not my cup of tea politically, right? You know, even when he was in the Tories, I mentioned him in dispatches several times, but he went on Times Radio, and I'm not just saying this because obviously I'm on Times Radio and Kate McCann is a colleague, but she was sort of saying that you seem to have potentially an issue with women. A lot of the politicians in the Tories, you go after a female. You know, it's a bit of this condescending thing. And his response to it is say to her, you need to get your head checked. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here.
His response was to be like, you're imagining things, you. He was gaslighting her, was he?
I mean, it was so funny. It was like accidental partridge. Like you condescending. You're off your head, love. Seriously, you start to sound like your mother.
It's so funny. You want to get your head checked, you.
That's what he said, though. By the way, anyone that thinks what you just said needs to get their head checked. So that was an interesting strategy. But he was also saying Badenoch when her name is Badenoch, and she has made that point, right? So Starmer thanks Badenoch for her support, and he sort of says, look, I haven't got the latitude to make performative political stances, which I thought, was that a little rift in the bromance with him and Ed Davey? Because Ed Davey's out there, you know, going, yeah, fuck Trump, which is the sort of thing you can say when you've got no realistic prospect of power. Starmer was also saying as well, like, a tariff war is in nobody's interests. And I thought, well, it's in somebody's, it's in the interest of the bigger country with more money. Like, that's not true, is it? What you should have said is a tariff war is not in our interest because we're smaller. We're really dicky little. And then I wonder sometimes, I think, like, so this is where I think, like, the online right and X is way off the pace with Britain. Because remember the left used to control that stuff, and Twitter wasn't Britain when it was all the left-wing nutters. And now it's like right-wing people. I think most people would think, well, he's tariffing us, fuck you, Trump. And they'll sort of instinctively feel like, well, yeah, let's go toe-to-toe. What do you think? Is that a fair reading?
Oh, I ain't got a clue. The only thing I know is that every time I open X now, I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with everybody? And it's so funny because my algorithm on there is videos that I'm like, well, that's a bit out there. And then there'll be loads and loads of other stuff and angry stuff and horrible stuff. And then there'll be something like a little animation of a little frog drinking a cup of tea. Do you know what I mean? Like in a little cottage, like a little knitted animated frog. And I'm like, oh, it's too much. So I rarely open X now because I find it quite toxic. And I think actually it's even worse for men because my boyfriend's algorithm on there, he's often like, oh my God, what is this? So every time he's on his phone, I'm like, what are you doing there? Radicalising yourself. But I think it has just become, is everyone that was left gone to blue sky now?
But yeah, and Threads, which can also on their day be every bit as toxic in a different way. But X does seem to be fairly relentless. I was just thinking of your boyfriend. It did make me laugh when he said, oh my God, how did that find its way on there? I'm guessing this is large-breasted women at a pool party being sprayed with hoses as well.
To be honest with you, I'd rather he was looking at things like that rather than some of the racist content that pops up on there. Because sometimes he's like, oh my God, what is this video? This is actually vile. So I'd rather he was watching women getting hosed down.
Yeah. Imagine nagging him. You should get back to the tits content. Jesus
go
Christ.
On, look at your boobs, will you? Come on.
Yeah. That's the man I got together with. I mean, I just don't. This podcast is called What Most People Think, and I know that there'll be people that listen to this show that will want me to take a more kind of like anti-Starmer thing on this. But I just think if you get out into the country, the median level of opinion will be like, he did what? How dare he? Well, we should teach him a lesson. But weirdly, I sort of think, Starmer's probably got it right that, well, maybe we're not in lesson teaching positions given our economy. Just a reminder that this week on Thursday, I'm doing a gig at AFC Wimbledon. Rachel did the first one, right?
I did. I really enjoyed it. It was great, yeah.
Yeah. You went down a storm, man. We got another gig there. And listen, if you're an AFC Wimbledon fan, there's two pitches here. There's one to the fans and one to the people that's just going to be a great comedy night for. We're struggling. We're having to sell players, sometimes not for a fee, just to get rid of the wage bill. I mean, literally, I don't know when we're paying people, Rachel.
Oh, goodness.
In response to your invoicing. But yeah, you get to come down. The tickets are very reasonably priced, and it's the January transfer window as well. So you could think, I went to a comedy night, got pissed, maybe blackout drunk, woke up in a phone box, but I contributed to the playing budget of AFC Wimbledon. Now, the other thing is, if you live in the area, it's just a really great comedy gig. That's all it is. You just get to go there. And I think these tickets are really reasonably priced. You're going to see Alistair Barry and Nathan Caton, and you're going to have to yourself a good night. Rachel, I think you had, last time we spoke, you had YouTube specials and stuff like that.
Yeah, my YouTube special, Showgirl, is out there, free to watch on YouTube. And also, I'm on tour. It's this year now. I'm on tour in October and November, right at the end of the year.
Okay, there you go. This works. Mine will be finished by then. You'll have yourself a little break from doing comedy, and then you get yourself tickets for Rachel Fairburn. Do wonders for her blood pressure by buying the tickets early. I always say to comics, what's the one place where traditionally it's been a hard sell for you that needs to get their shit together, or you're never going there again?
Oh, well, I've got rid of those places. I just don't go back. But if you are in, I want you to go back here. If you are in Lyme Regis,
yeah,
I went back there because I loved it so much, but you're not responding now.
No, Lyme Regis are late adopters. They buy.
Are they really?
Because we've always said nothing happens in Lyme Regis. But so what happens is it will sell a few and then it won't go anywhere for ages. And then a couple of weeks before, it will be really busy. I've thought exactly the same. And the problem is you sit there going, brilliant me, and bringing my shit to fucking Lyme Regis. And this is what I get. And then suddenly it's full. But
great.
Just buy tickets earlier, Lyme Regis. You got money, for God's sake.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we're going to talk about the Stephen Bartlett thing. Because like I said this year, I always, lead with politics, but I want interesting stories as well. And so as I say, he is the star of Dragon's Den. His podcast Diary of CEO is massive. Got to say, I haven't listened to it. I'm not entirely sure. They're just really in-depth conversations with, high-achieving people, or not. Sometimes not. I don't really get it. But anyway, so his podcast, some people think have been sort of tilting to the right recently. And then he had this recent chat with a YouTuber who's perceived as part of the manosphere called Chris Williamson. And they got into it about men being single and men being lonely. And this is where they ended up.
In the short term, we're going to have a lot of men who are disillusioned, that become incels, find themselves in pockets of the internet, are resentful, all those kinds of things. But should society intervene to course correct that? Should we put systems in place to make sure that those men meet partners?
So, yeah, what he was sort of saying was like maybe society needs to do something about men being single at a certain age. First up, Rachel Fairburn, just instinctive first take reactions to the idea that society needs to step in.
No, have a look at yourselves, lads. That's the thing. I think, first of all, there's two things on this, I think. I'd rather hear people have these conversations as well than not. I think it's perfectly acceptable for two men to say things that are not very popular. Fine. But as far as it comes to, women not wanting to be in relationships with men or wanting to have kids, etc., there's a lot more... There's more to life, I think. I mean, I personally don't want children. That's fine. I like children. Don't want them myself. I live with a man who I actually thought about this conversation before, and it was like, oh, why are women, not getting into relationships? Why are men lonely, etc. Well, I walked into the living room before, and there was just a Kit Kat wrapper on the top of the bookshelf, and I was like, that is one of the reasons why I'm sick of tidying up after you. But also, maybe it's the kind of man that you are that is unappealing. Does anyone ever think about that? I mean, there's plenty of people that are in relationships. There's plenty of people that are having children. There's women that are going out. I mean, I don't understand what they want the outcome to be.
Well, this is interesting because I sort of thought, right, if you just take it at face value, maybe, podcasts, we all say we go to extremes and
exactly.
Contrarian take. So it might have gone too far, but society should step in. I did start to wonder, what does that look like? When society by, do you mean women, or do you mean government, like speed dating? Because from my point of view, as a right-wing person, you say, I'm here from the government and I'm here to help. Is that famous Ronald Reagan quote? What's the scariest thing that you can hear? I'm from the government, I'm here to help. Now, extend that to the idea of dating. And you go, well, all right, so the HS2 guys are going to find me a woman in some weird kind of like state arranged marriage shit. I mean, anyone that's tried to get a doctor's appointment, the idea that, well, I suppose what it would be is they'd say, we're going to fix you up with a lovely young lady and you're going to meet her in 15 years given current waiting times.
Well, here's the other thing that I was thinking about this. Now, sometimes men are like, I'm lonely, women... Basically, and I have a someone who I know who is like this, a man who his idea of what is attainable for him is not. So instead of being, interested in a woman who's, got a great personality, is, fun to be around, etc., he set his sights at something that is way out of his league and that he's never going to get. So I think there has to be some sort of realism with some men as to what is on offer and what is attainable to them. Like, women don't owe you anything. Like, the woman that you find attractive doesn't have to go out with you. Also, work on yourselves a bit. Have a bit of...
Well, I suppose he's sort of pushing back a little bit from the male perspective. I guess the implication is that men get more out of being in a relationship with a woman than a woman gets, right? I think that perhaps men aren't as skilled or able to talk about the difficulties of being in a relationship with a woman, the emotional demands, the fucking roller coaster, and so all that stuff. You don't have that discussion more often culturally. And I was sort of thinking, that among younger women, that idea is really strident. The idea that it's a stress for a woman to be with a man, and men get loads of stuff out of being a woman. And then I thought about like divorce rates amongst lesbians are like way higher than for heterosexual couples.
Is that true? Interesting.
Yeah. It's because you're a fucking nightmare. Right?
Do you think it's because women fall in love easily?
It could be. I mean, we know, I'd say that the amount of lesbian or bi female comics on the circuit probably outperforms wider society as a percentage. Is that fair? And then so they are very funny in talking about how quickly it goes from a first date to moving in, sort of thing. So
that's what I was going to say. Is it because women tend to fall in love a bit quicker, go, this is great, we want to be together, let's get moving? Is that a factor that you just sort of it all happens a bit faster?
I think maybe it does. I think that is the thing that perhaps men need to do. I do think that there's a lot of men with unrealistic expectations, spending too much time online, getting radicalised by these figures that are putting stupid ideas in their heads. But equally, I do think, and I've said this on this podcast, there's a lot of women that are delving into what they call the pink pill thing, about a lot of women that sort of like idealise women to a point. And it must be, if you're a lesbian, brilliant, you can, you can pull at that thread. But if you're doing that and you are heterosexual, well, I just wonder if it ends up is you could easily critique him for saying society should get involved. And I honestly don't know what fucking form that would take. But equally, if you get loads of people that just end up in middle age alone, there are implications for society, right? For housing, for care costs, the fucking loneliness as well. Human beings are less healthy and happy when they're on their own. So I don't know, man. But what was funny about the reaction, and it was led largely by young women on TikTok, was that they seem to be acting like Stephen Bartlett had the power to literally make this a policy tomorrow. Like this was now happening. Well,
listen, I think podcasters have more power than most people these days. If you've got a big podcast, more people probably know who you are than a politician, don't they?
That's why they all want to be on them. No, I think you've got a point. I mean, it could be like conscription, I suppose, for women. Sign up, ladies. Do your bid for the lonely Lonely virgins of Britain.
I think loneliness is a massive issue, especially for, like obviously for men and women who get into middle age and older people as well. It makes me very sad that a lot of older people might be lonely and, not might have and much contact with other people. But I think fundamentally, men, sometimes certain groups of men who subscribe to things, stop treating women like they're the enemy. Treat us as an equal, get to know women, treat women, instead of thinking that a woman is there to keep you company and make you feel attractive and have kids with.
Pick up your Kit Kat wrapper?
Pick your Kit Kat wrapper up, mate.
Yeah. I mean, it really, do you know what? I think so many relationships were better if it started like that. Just don't leave your big, manly, smelly shoes out.
Oh, the shoes as well. That's a big thing for me. Men's shoes are too big. Get them out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing. This is because we are real salt of the earth people. We know where this shit starts. You see, your feminists, they be talking about like breaking the glass ceiling, and like, yeah, that's of great privilege. Some people, we know it starts with big, smelly, manly shoes by the door.
Move them out of the way, and then we'll talk.
Okay, we're going to talk in the Patreon only now about the Reform chairman, Zia Youssef, taking exception to seeing political opponents getting on. For everybody else, it'll be the end of the podcast. Rachel Fairburn, that was a wide-ranging chat that went from Zia Youssef through to me potentially letting myself down in front of my son at a football match.
What a rollercoaster.
I genuinely have done that, actually. I've got a specific memory of something I once said to a linesman, and I remember people turned around and looked at me. I was like, yeah, I was being a bad dad.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, no, it was really bad. I'll tell you when we finish the record. But yeah, people, your tour. What was the name of your tour? I didn't quite catch it.
It's called Vexy Beasts.
Vexy Beasts.
It's a character show, so I do character comedy. God, I hate saying that. It makes me dead embarrassed. I do a character show in the first half, then we have a break, and then I do stand up in the second half. So it's a bit of everything.
What if one bit goes better than the other? Like, and you go, those fucking characters. What's all that about? Eh?
Well, it's funny because I can say things as a character that, I might actually think myself. But if I make it a character, they say it, and people go, "Oh, that's a bit."
Darling, give a man a mask and he'll tell you everything. Yeah, it sounds awesome, man. Listen, I saw you had great reviews and stuff and great feedback when you did that up in Edinburgh, so people should get out to see you and fantastic stand-up. And I, given the news cycle, pretty much guarantee I'll be back with a breaking news at the end of the week. Well, I don't know, maybe things will be all right with Donald. I mean, maybe the Supreme Court will tell him he can't do tariffs anymore, and then he will just fucking invade. And instead of just like acceding to Greenland, we'll have to give up part of, I don't know, Devon. Okay, we'll catch up later in the week.